of the hour. This is the news hour on Smart Main's Business, clearly to give you a roundup of the business stories that have actually been making headlines here in the country and also across the globe. All right, now we start from Uganda, as now the president of this particular country, the President Yoweri Museveni, has directed the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to regularly provide market data to enable the government to advise the people on the available opportunities for their products worldwide. Now, the president was recently meeting officials from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Tourism and the Uganda Expo Coordination Committee ahead of the Dubai Expo in Uganda in October. Take a look at this report.
Uganda will join over 190 countries and international organizations to participate in the Expo 2020 Dubai from 1st October 2022 to 31st March of 2022 in the United Arab Emirates. The Republic of Uganda is participating in this Expo at the invitation of the government of the United Arab Emirates. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has now directed the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to regularly provide market data to enable the government to advise the people on the available opportunities for their products worldwide. The president talked about Simsim, whose total market size in the United Arab Emirates is US dollars 839 million, and yet our exports are there negligible. He also cited dairy milk, whose market size is US dollars 2.86 billion, but our exports are only 374 million, and bananas, whose market size is 664 million, but we have never attempted that market. Foreign Affairs State Minister Okello Oryem said that the Dubai Expo organizers will mark the Uganda National Day on October 3rd, which is aiming at promoting Uganda at the Expo. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
All right, now Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, will do a tribute for Uganda in regards to that particular Dubai Expo. So Uganda has actually accepted an invitation coming in from the United Arab Emirates to feature into the Dubai Expo, this particular Dubai Expo 2021 in October over there in Dubai. And this particular one is coming in from the fact that President Museveni looks at it as a way to actually promote Uganda's trade and also promote the products here by the Uganda. Now, the president did talk about Simsim, whose total market size in the UAE totals up to 389 US dollars. That is in terms of the exports that are negligible in the country. So clearly, you could see how much of an impact the Dubai Expo will definitely be on to Uganda as well. Now, the president also cited that milk, dairy milk, whose market size is around 2.846 billion US dollars, still in the Dubai in regards to the exports, and only 374 million US dollars, and bananas, whose market size is roughly 664 million US dollars, as have not attempted to hit the market. So clearly, Uganda will definitely use this chance over there in the Dubai Expo to clearly trade more and also boost their different agriculture as well. Now, Uganda that joins a number of 190 countries, the international organizations, to participate in the expo that is slated in October, from 1st October to 31st of March 2022, that is in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and 12 months from the scheduled date due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so they definitely had to change though. As the Republic of Uganda is participating in the expo at the invitation from the government of the United Arab Emirates. And clearly, we definitely see that the president looks at it as a way that this will provide cooperation and provide market to enable the government to advise the people on the available opportunities in regards to the global markets worldwide. And those are some of the new moves by the government to clearly see that the farmers or even the local producers in Uganda can clearly have something to actually sell out their products to the international markets and tap into some foreign currencies as well. Now, moving on, despite election and COVID-19 uncertainties, business conditions in Uganda have consistently improved in the city center, supporting our view that economic recovery is well underway. Now, Smart 24 TV finds out how business recovery is taking shape despite calamities after elections and the COVID-19 tough times. Take a look at this report.
In a television footage showed barricades and burned tires on the streets of Kampala as protesters chant Bobi Wine's name and called for his release. Sources said multiple business people had been killed by the police and the military. From there, the business community from the city started developing fear. Others started rushing back to the villages. The business environment was negatively impacted. Uganda did not only suffer past election uncertainties, but also lockdown due to continuing effects of the COVID-19. However, business conditions have consistently improved, supporting our view that economic recovery is well underway. Smart 24 TV finds out how business is picking up in the business center. With the COVID-19 and election crisis, Uganda has expressed unprecedented economic shock. Despite the efforts made by the authorities to support the economy, the measures deployed have been teeny compared with the recovery plans applied. Benson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
All right, now Pedison Mumbere giving us more in that regards to the story that the recovery of the economy is underway, or one would say in Minister Kasaija's sign that the economy is taking that particular step in terms of recovering. And of course, we're trying so much to see that we're rejuvenating. However, one of the key factors that we actually mentioned is the fact that Uganda is just from the post-election time where we had elections and the pre-period, that was the pre-election time, prior to the election time in January 2021. You could see there was a lot of fear and tension as a number of businesses were greatly affected with the fact that there were a number of riots taking place during the campaigning time alone, which is actually apparently the 2021 elections was also at the campaign period was also marked to be referred to as one of the worst campaigning periods in Uganda. They actually came out and brought back memories of the 2001 elections and also the campaigns that actually took place there, where there were a number of riots as well as a number of deaths that were recorded in that regard. So which greatly affected the businesses here in Uganda and the economy. And not only that, the COVID-19 has also been laid on board, as with the COVID-19 and the election crisis, Uganda has greatly experienced unprecedented economic shock. Despite the efforts that the government has clearly been putting on board, you could clearly see in some sectors, mention of the tourism sectors in Uganda, most of which has actually also been greatly affected because of COVID. And these are some of those sectors that greatly were actually generating some foreign currencies on board. And also those are some of the reasons as to why the SMEs, the government did see that if they do open up the lockdown, they would clearly give room for the SMEs to clearly tap into the economy, to see that the economy is taking another stage to rejuvenation. So clearly Uganda is underway to see that the economy is recovering in simple terms by process. And in that particular regard, as of 18th November, business was still on a standstill after police in the capital had fired fear. That was in 2020, had fired fear among the riots that were actually taking center stage in Kampala, which greatly affected businesses as a number of people actually also lost their lives. And they were apparently breadwinners for that. So you could see as the economy is trying to recover, we can never forget about the idea that there were riots and the election violence that was actually taking place, and also COVID-19, which has laid a very huge gap and a very huge foundation in regards to that. So clearly the government is looking at it in that way, from where the business community down to the business centers, developing ideas and developments coming up to see that the economy does recover. All right, now moving on to the next one. Now we're talking about violence that comes past the different ideas when it comes to unemployment and also prevailing poverty in the different regions in Uganda. Now apparently a son has killed a father over 5,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, according to Kole police, they are holding a man accused of killing his father over 5,000 Ugandan shillings, as the suspect is a 23-year-old James Olungu, a resident of Bagrisel, Eastern Ward in Aboke Town Council. Take a look at this report.
Kole police are holding a man accused of killing his father over 5,000 shillings. He was arrested shortly after striking his father, Alex Ogwang, with a wood on the forehead over a dispute of 5,000 shillings. The suspect is a 23-year-old James Olegu, a resident of Bagrisel, Eastern Ward in Aboke Town Council. Ogwang died instantly. An eyewitness says the deceased was punishing his teenage daughter for the alleged theft of the money. According to the eyewitness, the suspect intervened to save his daughter and instead picked up a timber which he used to strike his father on the forehead, killing him instantly. Jimmy Patrick Okema, the North Choga Region Police spokesperson, says that they picked up the suspect to help in the investigations. Police have opened up a case of murder at Kole CPS on CRB 091-2021. According to police records, North Choga Police Region registered 92 murder cases between January and May 2021. Mob action is the biggest contributor to murder cases, followed by domestic violence, murder by shooting, poisoning, and use of blunt subjects. Petson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Wow. There's a show here for 5,000 Ugandan shillings. So clearly you could see, in most cases they normally tell us life is priceless. But it's quite sad for someone to lose life over 5,000 Ugandan shillings. Really sad in that regard, because you can clearly see, and according to Kole CPS, in regards to the North Choga cases that have actually been registered, over 92 murder cases have been registered in the particular Choga region between the month of January and May alone 2021 in regards to the murder cases that have been reported, and among which include mob justice cases, and others include domestic violence in form of murder, and also poisoning, and also use of blunt objects to actually kill others. Those are some of the major 92 cases that have been reported in the North Choga region of there. Now, Ogwang, who actually died instantly, as an eyewitness says that the witness that actually the deceased was punishing his teenage daughter for the alleged theft of the money. And apparently, the suspect intervened to save his sister and instead picked timber, which he used to strike his father on the forehead, killing him instantly. Now, the deceased, that is the father who was actually killed over 5,000, was actually punishing his daughter in that regard. Because, parents, and even the Bible tells it right, spare the rod and spoil the child. So the parent was actually, making sure that he gives this daughter some good whipping in regards to carrying out to actually prevent her from carrying on with the theft cases in regards to her age. Now, apparently, a 23-year-old James Olungu, who sees the father caning or beating up the sister, comes up for the rescue of the sister. Maybe it's his favorite sister, or they have that very huge bond among them, because definitely blood is thicker in any regard. So he went on to hold a piece of timber and hit the father instead on the forehead. So you could clearly see that the father lost that one, just in a situation of punishing a daughter who apparently had stolen 5,000 Ugandan shillings, and now he's losing his life over there. So clearly the suspect, that is a 23-year-old, has been refunded to the police officer, to the police officers, and he was actually arrested shortly. And according to this, to the police spokesperson, that is Jim Patrick Okema, the North Choga Region Police spokesperson, says that they picked up the suspect to help in police investigation. So clearly, even the daughter has more to clear more on regards to that, or whether she had even stolen the money, or was it the brother who stole the money, and was he safeguarding the sister for not being beaten? Still, that is quite sad, and would definitely say a very may the soul of the rest in eternal peace. But clearly, the police giving out different cases of over 92 murder cases in that regard, which is a very huge shocker in regards to the murder cases that are prevailing in the northern part of Uganda, and also in times where most of the people are still home, covered up. And you could see when we record domestic violence, these are some of the cases that are keeping on prevailing in this particular tough times. All right, now that brings us to the end of our local news roundup here on SMB. Now we head to the international scenes to give you more in terms of the foreign updates and what is making headlines over there. Now we move to the eastern part of Uganda. We move to our neighbors in Kenya here, as Kenyan businesses maintain recovery momentum amidst future pessimism, and conditions for businesses in Kenya's private sector improved for a fourth straight month in August as the recovery momentum remains unchanged. Now, this is according to the data from the monthly published Purchasing Managers Index PMI by Stanbic Bank Kenya, which was published. Take a look at this report. According to data from the monthly published Purchasing Managers Index by Stanbic Bank Kenya, conditions for businesses in Kenya's private sector improved for a fourth straight month in August as the recovery momentum remains unchanged. The headline PMI reading strengthened to 51.1 points from 50.6 points in July to mirror the improving business conditions. Firms involved in the PMI survey marked a faster expansion rate last month in contrast with July, dragging with its job creation, which strengthened in that period. The improvements have been largely premised on an acceleration in new orders alongside modest growth in sales. Despite the rebound in business conditions, the majority of business are pessimistic on growth prospects across the next 12 months as they cite ongoing economic instability linked to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Future Output Index failed to gain further ground during the month and slipped to a near record low for the 7-year PMI series. Prevailing in Kenya, as the private sectors in Kenya are also trying so hard to clearly see that they get back into business in that particular aspect. As you can clearly see that not only has COVID actually, not only does the private sector here in Uganda try so much to actually see that they get back to business, but also our neighbors in Kenya. With this part of the rebound in business conditions, the majority of businesses are still trying so much to clearly see that they get back to business. And as the next 12 months, as they said, ongoing economic instability linked to the COVID-19 pandemic, clearly as part of that particular journey in that particular one. Now, according to the data from the monthly published Purchasing Managers Index, that is by the Stanbic Bank Kenya, conditions for businesses in Kenya's private sector improved for a fourth straight month in August as the recovery momentum remains quite unchanged. All right, now speaking of recovery in business and speaking of losses also in the business, we head to the next story. Now we head to South Africa, and South Africa's Game Supermarket is set to exit East Africa. Now, South African retail giant Massmart that operates the Game stores has revealed its plan to sell its one store in Tanzania and 3 in Kenya, marking the latest of a string of retreats from East Africa by a Southern African firm. Now, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed retailer did announce that it had put up 14 Game stores in East and West Africa for sale. Let's take a look at this story. South African retail giant Massmart that operates the Game stores has revealed its plan to sell its one store in Tanzania and 3 in Kenya, marking the latest of a string of retreats from East Africa by a Southern African firm. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed retailer announced on Friday it had put up 14 Game stores in East Africa and West Africa for sale, citing a need to focus on its core strength as the group's losses narrowed during the half-year ended June 2021. Massmart CEO Michelle Slepp said the chain had begun a formal sales process to divest in 5 Game stores in Nigeria, 4 in Ghana, 3 in Kenya, 1 in Uganda and 1 in Tanzania. The exit plan ends a 5-year stint for the Santon-based retailer in Kenya and further extends the poor run by South African retailers and firms who have faced headwinds trying to crack the local market. Mr. Slepp said the company was in advanced discussions with potential purchasers to take over its Game stores in Kenya, adding that the country, alongside other regional markets, remain a difficult business environment. All right, now following the fact that ShopRite is set to also exit the Ugandan market, at the Tanzanian market, one would think Kenya's market would have been actually a far better one in terms of the businesses and also recording profits. But surprisingly, now GEM, another supermarket that has its mother founder in South Africa, is actually also set to leave East Africa, this time around to leave Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya as well. Now GEM, that apparently has only one store in Uganda and quite a number in Kenya and only one in Tanzania as well, is actually set to close business in the East African countries and then other stores in the West African countries. So one will clearly see that now business completely fail in the different East African countries, because clearly one of the reasons as to why ShopRite did close in Uganda was because of the same issues, as ShopRite is also in its last month in Uganda, in business in Uganda. So clearly I think by next year we will definitely have no more ShopRite in Uganda. So the question is, if at all you also wake up in the morning and see there is no GEM, this is why we bring these stories to life, to clearly show you how far and how business is actually prevailing, not only in Uganda, but also countrywide. Now, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed retailer, that is Massmart, did announce last week on Friday that it had put over 14 GEM stores in East and Western Africa for sale to any potential buyer out there, because seemingly there is no business in regards to the East African market and also in some of the West African countries. Now, you could clearly see most of them are attributing the failure of these particular businesses or the loss of these particular businesses to an impact in COVID-19, because COVID has actually laid on board and actually created some economic instabilities in most of the economies. That is why most of the economies that are quick to recover actually trying so hard. And also there's some of the economies mentioned about the Ugandan economy that is also trying so much to rejuvenate and get back to a stabilizing situation. And at this particular time now we are losing foreign investors in terms of the bigger supermarkets that we've been having. And I did mention of the fact that ShopRite was one of the most affordable supermarkets. If you look at the supermarket ranges or prices in Uganda, ShopRite is one of which has actually been having affordable prices as well. And GEM as well, if you look at the GEM store in Uganda, it has actually been having also most of the affordable prices or cheaper prices, if I'm to put it in that way. If you've been reading the New Vision newspapers, you could clearly see some of those pages by GEM where they advertise products, different groceries, different all those different basics that you need in the home. And you could, if you are to range the prices from GEM, ShopRite and other supermarkets or other retail shops, you could clearly see that their prices were quite different and quite affordable and cheaper for the people out there. But one would ask, what is the future of the supermarkets that are actually being set up in the East African markets? And now what is the future of those foreign-based supermarkets or retailers in the Ugandan markets and also the East African markets? Now talk about Carrefour, that is actually also set up in Uganda of late. That is a UAE-based supermarket that is also that is actually, according to reports, is set to actually take over the different areas of ShopRite. But we'll still wait and see because these are just reports and allegations, but we'll seriously wait and see what it does happen. Now, according to Mr. Slep, that is the CEO of the GEM stores, did say that the company was in advanced discussions with potential purchasers to take over the GEM stores in Kenya, adding that the country alongside other regional markets remain a difficult business environment because now, as of now, the GEM supermarket in Uganda is still operating. But those in Kenya are on sale as we speak now, as they are looking for a potential purchaser who can take over the GEM supermarkets in Kenya there. Now, the exit plan ends a 5-year stint for the Santon-based retailer in Kenya and further extends the poor run by South African retailers and farms who face headwinds trying to crack down the local markets in the different areas over there. Now, this particular, it has actually had a 5-year stay in Kenya. That is, the GEM supermarkets have actually spent 5 years in Kenya, but now it seems business is not going on as planned or as usual. They're recording more losses than the profits, and basically that is not the way to go if at all you're a business owner or an investor who is actually wanting to tap into a local market over there. But now we still wait and see what is the future when it comes to local foreign investors who put into their investments or set up businesses to the local markets to clearly see if they can survive with the continuing economic instabilities in all regions across Africa and also globally. One will definitely see that most businesses are definitely finding a hard time to fit into the market in that particular regards, and also in terms of the business entities and the surrounding areas in the business environment. As of now, the business news hour comes to an end here on SMB. We'll take a short break. Coming up, we have an interview coming up with Rita Cabanyoro. This is Smart 24.